Hey everyone, it is Dani'i and welcome to this update video on the tropics. So we will be talking about our Atlantic disturbances. One is given a much higher chance to develop, and then over in the Eastern Pacific we'll also talk about the disturbance that is there, along with newly formed tropical storm Jimena and Hilda, which is expected to dissipate soon. And so before I go into details, okay, so let us kickstart things with the Eastern Pacific. So we're going to be talking about these three systems over there. So we have that disturbance highlighted in orange. So there is a 60% chance of development taking place in that region within the next 5 days. And we haven't had that low pressure area yet developing, but when it does, we will see that X to show its location. And then fortunately, this thing here looks as though it will just be moving parallel to the western coast of Mexico, so not expected to be a threat to land. And then going on to tropical storm Hilda. So at this time, Hilda has sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, and it is accelerating to the west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. And so by Friday, we're expecting that it is going to be achieving post-tropical cyclone status, and by later today, maybe not far from now, it is expected to be downgraded to a depression. And looking at satellite view of it, we're seeing here that we really don't have much going on for the system. Not much convection. We're definitely seeing some rotation, but not much convection with the system as it is weakening. And so now let's move on to newly formed tropical storm Jimena. And so here we have it. So Jimena has winds of 40 miles per hour, and it is accelerating to the northwest at 7 miles per hour. So there we see the Hawaiian archipelago as well, but fortunately, it is seeming as though Jimena is not going to be moving very close by, and it is expected to weaken a lot by that point. So most likely it will dissipate in the vicinity of the Hawaiian Islands, if it even goes in the vicinity of the Hawaiian Islands. On satellite view here we have it. It is looking quite well as a tropical cyclone, not a whole lot of convection, but we can see that it is trying to get in shape. So now let's go on over into the Atlantic basin. And so here we have it. We have our two disturbances, and that one yet to emerge off Africa. There we're seeing that X showing the location of the system. So it is about to emerge off Africa, and once it does into that favorable region just south of the Cabo Verde Islands, that is when we could see some development taking place. And so I think that this will definitely develop at least into a depression, possibly into a tropical storm, but factors will influence the system such as the ocean temperatures, the shear, and the Saharan dust. And so well west of that system, there we have that other disturbance still highlighted in yellow. The chance has not increased, stagnant at 20% for development, because this system is really going to be battling a lot of dry air. And so because of that, development is not really anticipated, at least not anticipated for it soon. So maybe when it moves north of the Eastern Caribbean or so, we could have a bit of development taking place, but the Saharan dust is going to be a huge problem for it. So now let us go on to the conditions that are persistent across the basin. So first up is the ocean temperature map. And so we're seeing here that nothing much has really changed since the last video. Ocean temperatures are quite warm, especially in the Gulf, the Caribbean, off the East Coast, in the vicinity of the Bahamas. And as we head closer to the coast of Africa, we see that ocean temperatures are quite cooler there. And so now let us move on to the wind shear map. And so the different colors here show different shear intensities. We have the greens being favorable, the yellows being neutral, and the red being unfavorable. And so we see that we have quite a bit of favorable shear extending across most of the main development region, where you see that the Gulf is quite favorable. The Caribbean is getting there, and out in the Atlantic in some parts quite favorable as well. So I would think that that disturbance that is highlighted in yellow is in a region of favorable shear. So when it is going to be moving up north, this shear won't be much of a problem to it. The problem, as I said earlier, is the Saharan dust. And as I speak, let us go on to the dust map. So there we have it. We have quite a bit of dust still extending across portions of the Atlantic basin, and it's when you're seeing those darker oranges go into that red and pink shade when we have a lot of dust being there. So it is very dense, and that inhibits tropical development because there is no moisture, and tropical cyclones are dependent on moisture in order to develop. So once we have that system heading off Africa, if it would be staying low latitude and moving westward, it would intensify more once the shear is also conducive. But because of the Saharan dust, and it is expected to have a west-west-northwestward track, it is going to be having more of a struggle. So I think that it is possible for this to develop after it merges off Africa, but once it moves into that pocket of a lot of Saharan dust, that is when there could really be a struggle for the system, and it isn't likely to intensify a whole lot. And so now let's see what the GFS model is expecting for our system. So this is a map showing the isobars, which are lines of equal pressure, and the closer you see them in a circular manner with the pressure below 1030 millibars, that is a low pressure system and can be tropical cyclones. And so there we have a 1007 millibar low pressure system to the west-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. So this is by Monday the 9th of August. So let's go further out to Tuesday. We see that the pressure has risen. So again, it is moving a bit to the northwest, and more than likely it is encountering Saharan dust at this point, which is the reason for weakening that we're seeing here. And how to know if it weakens? The isobars are more loose, and the lower the pressure, the stronger the winds. And so we have the system here weakening. And so as we go further out to Thursday the 19th, we don't see a whole lot to become of it, but we do have that low pressure system in the vicinity of the Bahamas, 1012 millibar low. That is quite interesting. So the outcome of our disturbance could be that it is a short-lived depression or storm, but as it accelerates to the northwest into that pocket of the Saharan dust, it will most likely weaken and eventually dissipate. And so now let us go on to what NOAA's updated prediction is for the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. So this prediction was sent out yesterday on the 4th, and so we see that they are expecting that this season will be above normal, 65% chance of above normal activity, 25% chance of near normal activity, and 10% chance of below normal activity. And so they're now expecting 15 to 21 named storms, of which 7 to 10 could become hurricanes, and 3 to 5 major hurricanes. So there are more storms and one more hurricane than what was initially anticipated in their previous prediction. So this is to show that as we're going to be heading later down in the season, the development of a La Niña is anticipated, which is going to be fueling these systems by decreasing the wind shear, the strong wind shear. So with a decrease in wind shear, that is really going to be helping our systems to develop. So that is the reason for quite an active season to be likely of this year. It just takes one tropical cyclone to cause some very disastrous impacts in areas. So I'm imploring you all to please take necessary precautions and stay safe throughout the rest of the hurricane season, especially if you are in regions such as the Caribbean, the East Coast, and the Gulf Coast, which are normally affected by tropical cyclones. And so guys, that is it for this updated video on the tropics, and if you found it to be quite informative, please give a thumbs up, and you can also share your thoughts in the comments or ask a question. I will try to respond as best and as soon as I can, and just remember to always be weatherwise.